Welcome one and all to another crane kicking, leg sweeping, karate chopping Gamers Inquiry review. Today, I'll be appraising an extraordinary game, one which was released back in February by a little known French indie game studio called Sloclap. Despite its indie roots, this hard-hitting, action-packed, beat-em-up game went on to make huge waves upon its release, garnering lots of positive reviews, a dedicated fan base, and legions of incredible character mods so quirky it gives Fallout a run for its money. I'm talking of none other than Sifu. So, if you're a fan of breathtaking kung fu, beat 'em up games with combat so intense it would make your fingers bleed, then you've come to the right place. So put on your costume and tighten up your black belt, because you are in for one hell of a review.
This time, I will do what I must.
All right, let's talk about the story. In Sifu, you play as the son or daughter of a martial arts master who is murdered by his evil former student, Yang. Though you are discovered and killed during the night of the murder, you somehow inexplicably survive due to the powers of an ancient talisman, which resurrects you, but at the cost of raising your age exponentially with each death. You vow revenge on Yang and his 4 accomplices, and after you've become an adult, you spend the rest of the game tracking them down and kung fuing them to death, or sparing them if you want to give the true ending of the game. Sifu's story is as simple and linear as they come. Sifu wears its vintage kung fu movie influences on its sleeves, right down to the obligatory training montage that plays during the opening credits. The magical talisman is the only part of Sifu's story that may differ from the popular tropes for which the kung fu genre is known. The talisman's ability to bring your character back from the dead is weaved masterfully into Sifu's fabric, giving the game its uncanny roguelike feature that helps the gameplay excel. Sifu's story doesn't really bring anything new or special to the table, but it's the incredible way that it presents the story, as well as its satisfying, bone-crushing combat that really takes the cake. Okay, now about the gameplay. Sifu has a third-person beat-em-up style gameplay with 5 linear levels comprising of boss fights, dialogue options, and a crap ton of goons to try out your sweet kung fu moves on. The more, the merrier, am I right? Each level has shortcuts, secret paths, key cards, and other collectibles which will come in handy as you progress deeper into the game. Each level also has shrines that not only restores your HP, but can be used to collect rewards and buy techniques from the skill tree. The real catch about Sifu's gameplay has to do with the power of your character's magical talisman, which resurrects you after each death. Once resurrected, your age is increased by the number of deaths you've suffered during your current run, and by the time you arrive at your 70s, another death would mean game over. What's more, every time you die, your maximum HP is reduced, but your attack power is also increased, which means you get older and stronger with each death. And by the time you reach the final boss, you look like a grizzled old kung fu master with silvery white hair and Matrix level martial arts skills. That's pretty awesome, I know, but it won't do you any good in the final boss fight. I kid you not. If you take on Yang at the final boss at any age higher than 50, he's definitely going to beat the crap out of you. This is the frustrating yet incredible thing about Sifu. On paper, its 5 linear levels makes it a game that should be beaten within 4 to 5 hours. That's just about the same playtime as Stray, but I would be genuinely surprised if anyone, including the developers of the game, could finish it within that time. In reality, beating the game requires you to play each level repeatedly until you've mastered it, or at least until your fingers fall off, whichever comes first. The game is to finish each level at the lowest age you could possibly achieve. This is one of the reasons why many have compared Sifu to roguelite games with procedural generated levels such as Hades and Dead Cells. But just like Arcane's Deathloop, it's not a roguelite, it just has incredibly fun yet tasking levels. Okay, now about the combat. There are many martial arts action games out there with mouth-watering combat, but Sifu's has got to be the cream of the crop. Through your playthrough, you encounter waves upon waves of grunts and goons as you fight your way to the final boss. These enemy NPCs don't play around either. They don't just line up and come after you one at a time like in terrible action movies. Each enemy hits as hard as you do, if not harder. They will block, parry, swerve, and throw weapons at you during fights just to kill your momentum or simply to kill you. Again, whichever comes first. The squats level may have you facing off against scrawny, unarmed grunts who look like rejects from a Rick and Morty storyboard sketch, but soon as you get to the club in level 2, you run into fighters with swords, machetes, sticks, you name it. Needless to say, if you underestimate any level, then you would probably end up looking like a grandpa by the time you finish it. The game's mini bosses pack a punch too. They will throw everything they have at you just to make sure you lose a life or two before arriving at the main boss. Speaking of bosses, Sifu has a dastardly set of unique bosses. Each one is incredibly difficult to beat. Most boss battles boil down to wearing down their structure gauge until you get an opening while simultaneously adding to yours using some well-timed blocks and dodges. You have to pull out all the stops and learn how to dodge or counter all their attacks to win. Then, even after you do, you have to take them down over and over again until you can literally perfect the level. This may all seem pretty daunting. Luckily, the game helps you even the playing field by placing shortcuts in each level, which can help you get to the boss quickly while avoiding a lot of unnecessary squabbles. The game also allows you to use the environment to your advantage. During fights, enemies can be tossed over ledges or balconies for a quick kill. You could also pick up swords, rods, and other weapons to even the odds during a scuffle. And by even the odds, I mean bash some skulls in with a baseball bat. Along with a bucket load of unique attacks you can choose from, the game also allows you to use special unblockable attacks called focus attacks to hit the enemy during amazing slow motion sequences. Some focus attacks are always available, like the eye strike, while others have to be unlocked using your experience points at the skill tree. Speaking of the skill tree, you can also unlock some unique skills or techniques which can be used during combat. Some skills like the environmental mastery or the strong sweep can literally make or break your playthrough, so it's always a great idea to get the hang of them early or unlock them permanently by buying them 6 different times. Okay, now let's talk about the graphics. Sifu boasts a unique art style that is amazing to behold. The game's graphic has a perfect blend of comic book inspired texturing and cinematic toning that simply makes each level and scene glow flawlessly. Granted, it's not for everyone, especially in this era of gaming where the line between reality and computer generated imagery is blurred further and further by such games as The Last of Us franchise, Supermassive's Dark Pictures anthology, and the likes. Yet, Sifu's graphics is perfect for the hard-hitting, neck-breaking kung fu goodness it delivers. The game's performance is flawless as it runs at 60 frames per second on both PS4 and PS5, with very little stuttery or frame rate issues. Finally, the music of the game deserves an honorable mention for me. The soundtrack for each level and for each boss fight coalesces seamlessly with the action of the game and the stakes that are on the table. All of these facets melded perfectly into a truly unforgettable experience that I don't mind coming back to over and over again. Replayability. Sifu has a medium of replayability score in my books. It's so difficult yet satisfactory to finish the first time that you both look forward to and dread having to play it again. It's certainly a game I will play a second and third time, but with enough resting periods in between. However, with an easy mode update and a strong modding community backing the game, its replayability may probably be a bit higher for most gamers. Sifu is certainly a wild adventure bursting full of impeccably designed levels and nail-biting fight sequences. Its combat is tough but satisfying, with a blend of Sekiro and other classic beat-em-up games from the heydays of the subgenre. It's an amazing game and very well made, so I'll be giving it 4 stars. I highly recommend you play it. It definitely left me feeling like a powerful kung fu master by the time I was done playing. Do you agree or disagree with my review? Let me know what you think in the comments. We make awesome content like this every week. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell to get regular updates on new videos. Thanks for watching, you guys. Catch you later.